All right, we're good. All right. Well, welcome and thank you to all of you for joining this webinar, Social Emotional Learnings, the Foundation of Lifelong Success. We're very excited to have you with us today and very pleased to have both Dr. Rita Aggarwal as our keynote speaker today with an introduction and wrap up with past RI President Gordon McAnally. So the webinar is being recorded. We will share out the recordings with all who have registered. It will also be posted on our website and will be posted to YouTube. Please, as a reminder, would everyone mute their microphone so that we can minimize the amount of noise during the speech. Please use the chat to introduce yourself or put comments in the chat when you introduce yourself. It would be great if you would let us know your Rotary Club and what country where you are living. There is the chat. Please put your questions in the chat. We will get to as many questions as possible at the end of the webinar, but we'll plan to hold all questions and comments until the end. And please do, as you're going through, use your React icons as confirmation, affirmation of the program. As I said, this program is being supported by the Rotary Action Group for Basic Education and Literacy and the Rotary Health Action Group for Mental Health Initiatives. BELRAG has 4 goals. We are looking to increase the awareness of illiteracy and its impact on the quality of life. We create awareness among Rotarians and clubs on how they can strengthen the capacity of communities to provide education and literacy for all. We assist Rotarians in increasing the scale and the effectiveness, impact is the word we're using now, of education and literacy projects. And we collaborate with Rotarians to establish partnerships for projects with other areas of focus. And this is a wonderful example of our partnership with other areas of focus. And pleased that we are working with the Mental Health Initiatives Rotary Action Group. Mental health initiatives, their goals are to protect and uplift emotional resilience with benevolence, to raise awareness on common mental health disorders, to improve access to treatment, to build capacity across sectors, and to address suicide prevention. So we are very pleased to be working with mental health initiatives with BELRAG, and we trust that there will be more opportunities for collaboration between us and other Rotary Action groups in the future. To start our program, very, very honored to have Gordon McAnally, past president of Rotary International, join us. Gordon made mental health a keynote, a focus for his year as Rotary president. His theme that year was create hope in the world, and certainly his efforts and his actions show that. So, Gordon, I would invite you just to say a few words about your efforts with the mental health initiatives.
Well, Carolyn, thank you very much for those kind words. You're much too generous. Greetings, everybody. It's a real privilege to be with the Rotary Action Group for Basic Education and Literacy at this important webinar. Rotary has long been a global leader in education, building schools, training teachers, and opening doors of opportunity. Yet learning cannot take root unless children feel safe, supported, and emotionally well. Education and mental well-being are not separate priorities. They're inseparable foundations of human potential. That is why I chose to make mental health a central priority during the year I served as president of Rotary International. Now, some people ask me, why? Surely, they said, Rotary is about eradicating polio, providing clean water, promoting peace, and supporting education. My answer was, And my answer remains very simple. None of those goals can be fully achieved if we ignore the well-being of the people we serve. Mental health is not separate from Rotary's mission. It underpins every aspect of it. Around the world, 1 in 8 people live with a mental health condition. Millions more experience loneliness, anxiety, trauma, or depression without support. These challenges affect every community, every family, every classroom, and these challenges affect every Rotary club. As champions of education, you know that children cannot reach their potential if they're overwhelmed by fear, stress, or emotional distress. Learning and well-being are inseparable. One cannot flourish without the other. And that is why social emotional learning must have a central place in education. By helping children recognize emotions, by helping them develop empathy, by helping them build healthy relationships, by helping them resolve conflict peacefully, and by helping them navigate setbacks, we are not only improving classroom behaviour, we are equipping young people with resilience, confidence, and emotional intelligence for life. Social emotional learning is as essential as literacy and numeracy. A child who learns to read gains knowledge. A child who also develops emotional resilience gains the confidence to use that knowledge wisely, to form positive relationships, and to contribute meaningfully to society. Together, these skills form the foundation for lifelong learning and well-being. And here lies a powerful opportunity for partnership between the Rotary Action Group for Basic Education and Literacy and the Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives. The Mental Health Action Group brings expertise, practical tools, and evidence-based approaches to well-being. The Basic Education and Literacy Action Group brings deep experience in improving educational outcomes worldwide. Together, these two groups can help Rotary clubs design programs that nurture both the minds and the hearts of young people. Imagine schools where literacy programs are strengthened by social emotional learning. Imagine teachers equipped not only to teach reading, but also to recognise emotional distress and create supportive environments. Imagine communities where education and mental well-being are not competing priorities, but essential partners. That, my friends, is a vision worthy of Rotary. Leadership in this field belongs to all of us. Every club can champion well-being. Every literacy project can include emotional development alongside academic achievement. Every partnership can help reduce stigma and build communities where seeking help is seen as a strength, not a weakness. Mental health should never be viewed as a temporary presidential theme. It is a lasting commitment that strengthens every area of focus and every educational opportunity created by Rotary. Rotary has the opportunity not only to support education, but to redefine it, ensuring that every learning environment we touch becomes a place where minds are developed, where hearts are strengthened, and where human potential is realised. So let us move forward together. The Rotary Action Group for Basic Education and Literacy and the Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives as partners in a shared mission. Let us ensure that in every classroom we teach, a child is taught not only to read, but also taught to believe in themselves. and let us make Rotary a global leader in a new standard of education, one where learning and well-being are never separated, and where every child is given the chance not only to learn, but to thrive, to belong, and to flourish. That is the future Rotary is uniquely placed to create, and the future we are called to lead. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this event, and I look forward to the rest of the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gordon. Your comments certainly ring true. As a former elementary school teacher, primary school teacher, a child's mental well-being opens the door to education. And if a child is not mentally well, mentally open, they cannot learn. So thank you very much for your comments. I will turn it over to Anu at this point, Anu Nurala, who is our vice chair of BELRAG, and she will introduce our speaker. Anu?
Thank you, Caroline. And thank you, past RI President, for your very inspiring and enlightening view and hypothesis on the relationship between mental health and basic education and literacy. We completely agree with you, and we look up to you for your leadership and guidance on this relationship. A very warm welcome to all of you. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Rita Aggarwal. Dr. Aggarwal is the co-founder and chair of the Rotary Action Group for Mental Health Initiatives. In the last 9 years, this Rotary Action Group has grown leaps and bounds with a strong membership base, global grant projects, and a dedicated board of directors. Dr. Aggarwal has successfully run a global grant project called Wellness in a Box, Peer Leadership Development Program, for 5 schools in Nagpur, India, for which she was honored with Service Above Self and People of Action Champions of Impact Award by Rotary International. Dr. Aggarwal was invited to join the Rotary Club of Nagpur in District 3030 in the year 2000. She has held many positions in her club and district and has won many awards. In her professional profile, Dr. Aggarwal is a senior psychologist with a private practice at Nagpur City, India since 1992. She established the first psychological clinic called Manodaya and pioneered the concept and practice of psychology in central India when it was a relatively unknown profession. Equipped with an MPhil in clinical psychology from Bombay University and a gold medal in both MA and BA honors in psychology from Ranchi University, Dr. Aggarwal has always used her skill and expertise to help people. Prior to starting her practice, Dr. Aggarwal worked on a research project called Women Prisoners in Banaras Hindu University, my husband's alma mater as well, and he's on the call. Thank you, Chaitanya. And he's also my fellow Rotarian. So from Banaras Hindu University, Dr. Aggarwal did the project called Women Prisoners and researched on aspects of domestic violence. Dr. Aggarwal coordinated a center for de-addiction counseling and rehabilitation and child adoption agencies. Backed by her first-hand experience of the complexities of the socio-economic conditions in rural India, Dr. Aggarwal gained experience in social work initiatives at the grassroots level in rural India. Dr. Aggarwal initiated a weekly column called Emotions in central India's leading newspaper called the Hitawada, successfully running since 1994. Dr. Aggarwal has edited the District 3030 newsletter called Mind Matters since 2021. As a behavioral trainer, speaker, and mentor, Dr. Aggarwal has lectured on mental health in schools, colleges, institutes, industries, and several other forums. She spoke at TEDx at BITS Pilani in 2016. Her signature workshops on personality development for kids and college students conducted in her own center till COVID breakout in 2020. Dr. Aggarwal's mantra is very inspiring: empowering minds, inspiring change. She likes to look up to both her parents for their legacy of hard work, value of education, ethical values, simple living, and charity inherited from both of them. Reminds me of my parents. Dr. Aggarwal has a vision, mission, and passion for influencing both local and global mental health initiatives, and her journey has been nothing short of transformative. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Rita Aggarwal.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Dr. Rita.
Thank you so much, Anu. That was so kind of you. You took me down memory lane, and there was actually no need for such a long introduction, but nevertheless, it was such a pleasure listening to you. So, a very warm welcome and greetings to all present here, and a very warm good evening to past Rotary International President Gordon McNally, who is our patron on our action group and also our champion for mental health. We rely on him for his guidance. He just now made it very simple for me to tell you how important is the two collaborations of basic education and literacy and mental health initiatives. And I'm really very keen on this presentation today. It's my honor and privilege to collaborate with BELRAGs, and we really look forward to a long association with you guys. And I think we can do wonders and make very good projects, as Gordon says. They are the two essential parts which can do a lot for the welfare of society. I will tell you a little bit of a story before I start sharing my slides, but let's just prepare my slides for you before I take over. All right. So the story is, as Anu said, I started my private practice in 1992 in a small town, small city in central India called Nagpur, when psychology was a totally an unknown subject. And in my practice, that is 32 years ago, most of my clients were school children, teens, teenagers, and adolescents. And one of the popular chief complaints which parents came when they brought their kids was, my child is doing well in academics. There is no problem with subject matter study, but he's shy. He doesn't speak up in class. He doesn't make friends. He gets bullied. He gets teased. He can't say no. And he doesn't want to go to school because he feels afraid of the teacher when she shouts. And many other things. There were other complaints like he gets angry. So my child breaks friendships, doesn't know how to say sorry. And so many other things like can't ask for help. These are common scenes in every classroom which every teacher would vouch for. Now, when I started this program, the signature program as Anu referred to, I developed a module, a 15-day module with 3 hours every day. So the total was 45 hours of input with children in summer vacations and winter vacations. And I would take batches of children. And it was a super success program because we taught them these social, emotional skills, which schools never taught them. And we had batches after batches, thousands and hundreds of children were trained. And we see the benefits even till today because we also did a research on the project with a pre-survey and a post-survey, and we measured the outcomes, which I presented in a national seminar in psychology. So that experience of mine running the personality development program for 26 years, till COVID struck and we had to lock my clinic because there was a lockdown for 2 long years in India and Nagpur. What I realized, this program made me realize the importance of skills, social emotional skills, psychological skills, which we never teach in schools. And that is why I gave this heading, the skills we never taught. And this, sad to say, I started working 32 years ago on this program. And till today, the scene is not very bright, I would say. A little better than what it was, because social emotional learning caught up in the late 2000. So 2010, 2011, the concept caught up all over the world. And it's being implemented in schools in bits and pieces, government schools, private schools, but not in a very big way. And in India, in 2020, the new education policy is focusing a lot on emotional well-being of students. So the emotional well-being of students is now being highlighted by the government. But the skills, coming to the topic now, why social and emotional learning belongs in every classroom, and why does it belong to Rotary? How do I forward this, please? Can you help me, Anu? The slides are stuck.
I do not have the slides. Caroline can do it.
Tap your forward on your desktop.
Or maybe the downward arrow, either forward or
Let
downward.
me try again. Sorry for the disruption.
Oh, no problem.
Technology is always something which we cannot guarantee. Yeah.
There you go.
So even though we realize the importance of social emotional learning, and we know that they should, as Gordon said, they should run parallel and they should run hand in hand. But what we see is that the schools neglect this particular curriculum, and as there is no planning, no funding, no timetable for it, and they are focused only on one curriculum, which is teaching of subject matter, mathematics, science, history, geography, languages, humanities, etc. So this curriculum needs to be prepared, which is not difficult to do. We can always prepare a curriculum, because this curriculum also needs to be taught with a lot of care and quality. It cannot be just a simple thing. It will not be effective if it is not run in a proper way. But let's define what social and emotional learning means. To simplify it, we believe there are 5 components to it. One is self-awareness, understanding yourself, your emotions, your strengths, your limitations, your needs, your desires, and what you want to become. Then self-management, which is all about self-regulation, regulating your emotions, your impulses, learning how to manage the challenges of your life, because that would lead to stress at many times, and setting your goals and pursuing the goals throughout your lifespan. The third component is social awareness, becoming aware of diversity, the differences in culture, understanding the other's perspective, and empathizing and having compassion for the other. Social awareness. Then relationship building is building up skills. We talked of loneliness. So how do we go about it? The only way to get out of loneliness is to build relationship, to build bonds, to network, to listen, have conversations for cooperation, and conflict resolution, which is one of the very key factors in relationship building. And the last one is responsible decision making. The slide is not visible here. The 5th point is not visible, but it is responsible decision making, because we must understand the consequences of the decisions we take in our life, and children should understand that this is an important part they should bear in mind. Now, the SEL program was criticized for a few things. For example, some people said this is not pedagogy, this is psychology and psychotherapy, and a teacher cannot become a psychologist. So we just wanted to say that it is not therapy, It is basically, it is a precondition for academics. And as Gordon said, there can be no learning if there is no mental well-being. Only when your mind is peaceful and calm and happy can you learn. Otherwise, you will be in emotional distress and no learning will take place. So it is not therapy, but it is a precondition for academics, for attainment. Then it is not a substitute for academics and it is not soft skills, because we see the wonderful effect of SEL on children and their behavior. The conduct disorders go down, the school atmosphere becomes empathetic, and there are lots of benefits we can see when we measure the outcomes. And it is not a single country's idea. It has now become a worldwide curriculum which is being taught. I just wanted to highlight this, that Rotary has been teaching this since 1932.
Wow.
If you look at the four-way test, it's such a beautiful, I just love this four-way test of Rotary, where we talk of truth and honest self-appraisal, which means awareness of self. Fairness, where we take care of every party's stake, is social awareness. Goodwill, building and repairing relationships, restoring relationship skills, building relationship skills. And benefit to all is understanding the consequences. So therefore, leading to responsible decision making. So truth, fairness, goodwill, benefit to all. Actually, the four-way test can be called an SEL instrument, but we don't define it like that. But it can be. Just excuse me, I'll have some water. We cannot underestimate the need for such programs in schools. Looking at the statistics, in a recent global survey, mental health conditions are now at number one, slot rank number one. They have taken over even cancer. So mental health has become the disease in ranking number one disease in the world, unfortunately. So half of the statistics say that half of the mental health conditions come up before the age of 18. 1/3 of the mental health problems come up before the age of 13. And 1 in 7 youth, teenagers between the ages of 10 to 19 suffer mental health problems. And this number is alarming. So we cannot deny that adolescent mental health is no longer a specialist concern. It is the concern for all people. So every teacher in school or in a classroom would tell you the story of children and their behavior. And we understand that this is not a problem of discipline. When a child misbehaves or a child disrupts the class, or when the child stops attending school and an absenteeism grows, it's not a discipline problem. It is a skill problem. And all these skills can be taught in a very systematic and in a very nice way. The evidence, again, if you want to look at the evidence, we see a plus 11 percentile point increase and gain in academic achievement. And therefore, we say that SEL helps. It's a precondition, it's a mechanism for helping children to learn. And this review was done in the year 2011 by a group of people where they reviewed 213 school-based programs, and they touched 270,000 children, and they found the results that there is an increase of 11 percentile points. So if you look at the cost-benefit ratio, teaching SEL to school children would give you 1:11. The ratio, cost-benefit ratio is 1:11, which is fantastic. And this is not a Western finding, because there was another review done contemporary review of school-based SEL programs were done in 53 countries and 424. I mean, I'm not very good at these figures. You can look at the slide. So this statistics showed that students who took part in the SEL program showed significant improvement in social emotional skills, pro-social behavior, school climate and safety, which means bullying went down, teasing went down, supportive atmosphere was created, school functioning was better, attendance was better, peer relationships were better, and the academic achievement was definitely better. So when we talk of the curriculum for the ages of 6 to 11 is different from the curriculum of 11 to 16 because we advanced the curriculum. So at the small age, primary age of 6 to 11, we just talk of developing a vocabulary for the child to name the emotion. Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling depressed? Are you frustrated, disappointed, angry? And what makes you so? So you can have small circles of children for 15 minutes discussing emotions, sharing emotions. Then another 10, 15 minutes for mindfulness and meditation, deep breathing. Then we teach them care and share. We all do it at home, but the child which comes from a good home and learns the skill at home within a good family atmosphere is a lucky child. But we all know that all children are not so lucky. They come from dysfunctional families, they come from broken homes, they come from war zone areas, they come from areas, geographical areas where there is political unrest. What happens to those millions of children who are born in poverty, unemployment, political strife, unrest? We know what the world is at the moment. So a child which does not come from a lucky home does not learn the skills which he is supposed to learn. So we teach them care and share, shake hands, apologize, make up, sympathize, empathize, exchange. So these are developing good habits at this primary age is the purpose of the curriculum from 6 to 11. It's a simple program, but it becomes a habit if you do it every day in the school level. Now, at the age of 11 to 16, the program becomes a little more advanced, where you have regulation under pressure, which is stress management. You have purpose and meaning in life, directions, helping goal settings, asking for help, conflict resolution. So important for developing peace and digital life, managing your digital life. So why this belongs to Rotary? There are 3 areas of focus in Rotary, which I feel is appropriate for SEL programs for children. One is, of course, basic educational literacy, which is BELRAGs, where we are at the moment today. And then the second is peace building and conflict resolution, conflict prevention, where we are also in collaboration with them. We had last year, we had 4 sessions with Rotary Action Group for Peace and Mental Health. And for me, it was a wonderful, wonderful learning experience. I learned so much from the Action Group of Peace as I'm learning from BELRAGs today. So they say that if you teach conflict resolution at the age of 8, you will have a peace builder Rotarian at the age of 28. So it is one of the most significant interventions in peace if we do conflict resolution, teaching and learning to children. The third area of focus is maternal and child health, because as we understood, half of the program problems in mental health begin before the age of 18. So when we teach SEL learning to school children, take it as prevention of mental health disorders. This is, according to me, SEL is the best investment we can make for prevention of mental health disorders for future generations. As Gordon said, you can start in very simple ways. Clubs do not have to do much. You can start with just 1 school per year. Take a school, train a teacher or a group of teachers or a group of Rotarians to conduct the program. But best to train the teacher because she can facilitate it in the classroom. So she can be trained in social emotional learning. And then you don't have to really look here and there because Rotary is blessed with so many forums. We have interactors within the age of 12 to 18. And then we have the Rotaractors who are in RILA, taught the value of leadership, development, communication, decision making. And we have all the forums with us where we can just go ahead, or you can work at a district level or even a global scale. Like I did a global grant in 5 schools for 3 years on mental well-being, depression, anxiety. So we would like everybody to be an ambassador of SEL. As we said, Rotary can actually adopt SEL as its own cause. I feel like that. But we'll take that from Gordon as to what he wants to say about that. So we all agree that a child who can manage emotions, a child who can repair broken relationships, and a child who can manage his mind and inner peace is a child who will learn. And this child becomes an adult who can lead. We know all Rotarians are leaders in their own field. So we say truth, fairness, goodwill, and benefit to all. These are the 4 questions of the 4-way test, which we ask ourselves every week. So it is time we taught children how to answer them. And I would just end my presentation by saying that SEL is a precondition, is a mechanism for learning. It is the best investment we can make for mental health for future generations. And it is an attainment of academic achievement where we have an 11 percentile point improvement. And Rotary can adopt SEL as its own cause because it is just an extension of its 4-way test, which I would like to say is an SEL instrument. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rita. That was really, really excellent. So many good reminders, and I love the concept of social emotional learning being a precondition for learning, and truly, truly it is. I will turn it back over to past President Gordon for a few reactions.
Well, yeah, thank you, Rita. I always love listening to you and I always love learning from you. So thank you for that powerful and thought-provoking presentation. I have to confess that when I first heard the phrase socio-economic emotional learning, I wondered whether we were simply giving a new name to something that sensible parents, teachers, and communities have been trying to teach children for generations. But listening to you, Rita, I realise there is something much more important here. It's not about giving something a fashionable new name. It's about recognising that some of the most important skills a child needs in life have never been systematically taught. We teach children to read, we teach them mathematics, we teach them science, we teach them languages, but how often do we teach a child to recognise that they're becoming angry? How to calm themselves before reacting? How to listen to someone with whom they disagree? How to repair a friendship, or even how to ask for help? These are not soft skills. These are life skills. And what particularly struck me in this presentation is the connection between social emotional learning and the work of BELRAG. Rita reminded us that a child who cannot regulate their emotions cannot fully engage with learning. A child who's frightened or isolated or overwhelmed may be sitting in a classroom, but they're not necessarily able to benefit from what is being taught. So when we talk about literacy, perhaps we need to think beyond the ability to simply read words. We should also be helping children to read themselves, to read other people and to understand the world around them. And there is something wonderfully Rotary about this. Rita, on more than one occasion, reminded us that our own four-way test can be understood through the very competencies we've been discussing. Self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. Think about that. We've been asking ourselves for decades, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? We ask those questions of ourselves as adults. Perhaps our challenge now is to ensure that children are given the opportunity to develop the skills that enable them to answer those questions thoughtfully. And that is where I am convinced the partnership between BELRAG and the Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives becomes so exciting. We don't need to create an entirely new Rotary infrastructure. We already have schools. We already have teachers, Interact, RILA, relationships with communities around the world. What we need is to bring these resources together and deliberately incorporate social emotional learning into the educational work we're already doing. And I particularly welcome the presentation's emphasis on starting practically. One school, 1 year. Train the teachers, provide the materials, establish a baseline, measure what changes, learn from the experience. Then, if it works, expand it. That is how Rotary has always achieved sustainable impact. We don't have to change the world tomorrow, but we can change the experience of one child tomorrow, and then another, and then another. If we can help a child develop the confidence to say, I'm struggling and I need help, if we can help another child to resolve a conflict rather than escalate it, if we can give a young person the emotional resilience to cope with disappointment or failure, then we're doing something every bit as important as teaching them to read. Because ultimately, education is not simply about putting knowledge into a child's head. It's about helping that child become the person they have the potential to be. So my one hope is that today's presentation does not remain simply an interesting discussion. I hope it becomes a challenge to all of us. Let's take social emotional learning out of the margins and put it where it belongs, at the heart of education. And let us demonstrate through the partnership of BELRAG and the Mental Health Action Group that Rotary can once again take an important idea and turn it into practical action. Because a child who can read has been given a key to knowledge. But a child who can understand themselves, who can relate to others, who can manage adversity and make responsible choices, has been given something even more precious, the tools that use knowledge wisely. That surely is education worthy of Rotary. Rita, thank you once again for such an inspiring presentation.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Gordon. You really reinforced the points which were so important. Thank you so much. You always speak better than a psychologist.
Oh, no.
Your views on mental
I'm
health, they
a
are so
I'm a
perfect and so
well-intentioned
sound.
amateur, Rita. I sit at the feet of psychologists like yourself.
Every one of us is a psychologist in some way. If you're a mother or a teacher, you are a psychologist in some way.
Thank you.
Great reminders. We have a few minutes for questions and comments. If you have a question, I just ask if you would use the raise your hand icon since I can't see everyone on the screen at one point, and we'll start with Rudy.
Good morning, everybody. This is absolutely wonderful and impactful. I met Gordon at our District 5300 conference in April, and our district actually created a brochure for mental health and well-being for our committee. And I just want to say that your work, Gordon, since you started this initiative, has been very impactful in our district and in our club. So I wanted to thank you, and it was great to see you and hear you today. One thing that I noticed, Dr. Aggarwal, is that the SEL model is very similar to the emotional intelligence model from Daniel Goleman, and I don't know if there are just coincidental parallels between the two. So that's part one, and part two is I'm finding out that all of these aspects, from social awareness to emotional intelligence to self-regulation, these are the things that our Rotarians in our district are interested for themselves as adults. So I love the fact that you're focusing on the youth so they can become better adults in terms of the social emotional learning for themselves and also emotional intelligence. So I don't know if this is a question or just maybe a comment, but the skills that you are describing, adults can sure use some training in that as well, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Shall I answer that, please?
Please do.
Yeah. So, see, the two challenges in which we all face in our life, and these are the two important tasks which all of us have to do. One is self-management, and one is management of others. And others mean anybody else besides ourselves, whether it's your parents, your siblings, your colleagues, people you live with, your community. So self-management and management of others are the two important tasks which we all get challenged in. And these are skills which can be taught at any age, any level. Primary, if we start at the primary level, then there are more benefits. There are definitely, it's worth investing in a child because then he grows up in a happy way. But as I said, not all children are lucky. Not all children come from happy homes. So as adults also, we can be trained. We do these skills in the workplace. In fact, if you look at the workplace scenario, the reviews and the research on the core skills required at the workplace is also mentioning all these qualities: building resilience, empathy, compassion, teamwork, togetherness, conflict resolution. These are the skills mentioned at the workplace too. So there are benefits, and it can be taught at any age, if that is what you're asking me. Yes, we can teach it at any stage. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And Dr. Norhan?
Thank you for taking me. It's Dr. Noorjahan, yes.
Thank you.
I'm from Rotary Club of Gangtok, Sikkim. It's a small place in India. And this is something, this mental health awareness and talking about the children who needs help in this respect was something which was already there in my mind. I just really wanted to take the initiative. But then something or the other was happening. It wasn't taking shape. But then this time, when I am the president of the club, I thought that this has to be done because I wanted to take up one of the schools in our area, locality, and then go ahead with this. So my plan is ready, and I just need to go and talk to the school and then let them come on board with us and then start this initiative. Now, Mike, I don't know whether it's a question or something, but what I want to ask is, I was thinking in terms of emotional intelligence because that's something which guides us, that's something which makes up our life. So I work in a college, I teach in a college basically. So I've seen children coming from different background, students coming from teenagers, Gen Zs coming from different background, but then the kind of the interaction they have with us, and then the way they handle stress, the way they handle situations, the way they project themselves, it is something worrisome. So I thought, that is something which is that is the basic driving force behind me talking about, I mean, taking the initiative of doing this. So the plan is already there. Now I would like to ask, like, if some kind of guidance is, if I get from the our Rotary district, the initiative, so that I can go ahead and then full-fledgedly do this as maybe it start with a pilot project and then maybe implement all over the Sikkim schools, like later on, year by year. Because it's not one-time project. It has to sustain, it has to go on year by basis. So that is what is the help I would like to seek if some light is thrown on this area.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm
Thank you,
so
ma'am.
happy to hear that. I think you should just pick up one school at a time and then go ahead. As you said, you'll do a pilot and then you'll expand it. So you
Right,
must go and even meet all the stakeholders, especially the government, the education department. And if they get interested, it can just be implemented across the state.
right,
I'm very sure about it
exactly.
because they are
Yes, ma'am.
doing it from Delhi, they are doing it in some states.
Mhm. We'll do
Thank
that, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you.
And Rita, the resources, wellness in a box, are on the website, the Mental Health Initiative's
Yeah,
website.
but that is a different program, Carolyn.
Okay.
That is for high school students, and it is about anxiety and depression and stress
Mhm.
management. SEL would be a little different in inputs,
Okay.
a little
And
different.
folks could reach out to you if they're interested in
Yes,
learning more.
anytime. 24 into
Yes.
7. Rotarians are available 24 into 7.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Yes,
At
we
your
are.
service, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank
David,
you.
you have
Thank
a
you so much.
question?
No, thank you
You're
so
on
much.
mute, sir.
Thank you. And of course, Rita, congratulations on a very insightful and important subject. And one of the problems anyone trying to push psychological education is going to have is people saying, life is so competitive. And indeed, for young people, the pressures on them are really quite considerable. But the pressures are not just academic. We no longer just take people, say, into high demand courses based solely on their academic results, whether it be going for a job or going for a competitive university place. There is lots of emphasis placed on people's personality skills that come across in a 10-minute interview or whatever. So they have to show that they have reasonable confidence and ability to hold a conversation and that they are actually going to be good members of a team. And that's exactly what you are trying to teach people from primary school. And the benefits, you can tell them will, of course, manifest when they go for interviews. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, David.
Any other questions before we conclude? Yep, Gordon, go ahead.
In actual fact, it's not a question, but I just want to piggyback on what David has said. And, I think as society, we have possibly made a mistake in recent years, and that we consider educational attainment to be a piece of paper with several A's on it. And if we do not produce a piece of paper with several A's in it, in some ways we are not as well educated. We have not got as well complete an education as we might have done. But I am a great believer that education is not about simply attaining certain grades. It is what David has said. It's about, and Rita as well, it's about being able to interact with society. It's having that social competences, if you will, that allows you to be a useful, serving member of society for the rest of your life. And I think that's something that we should all recognize, and I would suggest that that is something we should all recognize and be aware of when we're talking about education. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will turn it over to Tony Bloom, who is the chair of BELRAG this year. So Tony, bring us
Okay,
home.
great. Well, this is the easy part of it because we had exceptional presenters and exceptional audience. I want to give great credit first to Anu and Caroline for helping the logistics of this event and co-hosting it. And then Rita, in terms of your inspirational comments, and then the pleasure that we had with past President Gordon McNally with his serving as a role of discussant, but also inspiration. Not the least of which is, look, we're all busy and we're all joining from geographic regions from around the world. So I want to thank all of our participants. This is not the only conversation we're having about this. So stay tuned. August 28th, we're going to be doing a second part series for this. So put it on your calendars. It's going to be on preventative approaches to teenage depression and anxiety and perspectives on peer leadership programs for teens. I'm sure we'll be sending that as well. I'm just going to plant a few seeds. One of which is we'd be really delighted to have a subcommittee that could continue this relationship on this topic of this relationship between SEL and BELRAG. And we're looking for champions. So one way you could do that is if you're not already a member of BELRAG, I dropped in the chat, you could simply join. And it's all about bandwidth. If there are a few individuals that are joining today that are interested in this topic, and from BELRAG, the same interest and commitment, what might we do as a small group to help spread a good practice examples? So let us know if that's something you're interested. Join BELRAG. Please reach out to Anu and Caroline if this is a subcommittee you'd like to be part of. And again, want to thank you all for taking your time today to join us. Over to you, Anu and Caroline.
That brings us to the conclusion of the program. Again, thank you so much, Rita, for being our speaker today. Many good thoughts and food for thought, which we appreciate. And President Gordon, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. As Tony said, look to join us on the 28th of August for the second in the series, working with high school age children. And with that, we will conclude the day. We appreciate all of you taking time from your day to be part of this program and joining us. And we look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Bye.
great rest of the day and night
Thank you
in
so
the part
much,
of
Anu
work
and
Thank
you
you so
are.
Caroline.
much. Bye-bye.
Thank
Well
Thank you
done.
so
you.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Gordon.
Welcome you
so
all.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Gordon,
for
for
Thank
being
being
you
there.
so
here.
much.
Thank you, David.
We loved
Thank you.
having
Gracias.
you.